Hello and welcome to another episode of the Phoenix Wisdom Podcast. I am your host, Janet Sandberg. I help people figure out who they are, why they're here, what's holding them back, how to get past that and move forward through life coaching and also doing some energy stuff like Reiki and divine channeled readings and all sorts of good stuff to help people feel better and live better lives. Today on the podcast, we are joined by Jose Angel Pereira Ruimwyk. And I got his name right. So welcome. Thank you so much for being here today. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, thank you for having me here. By the way, when I heard about your podcast, the Phoenix Wisdom, I said, wow, it has to be an awesome podcast because the Phoenix is the rebirth and the wisdom is what everybody's asking to have. Mm-hmm. So, as you said, my name is Jose Angel Pereira Ruimwyk. I'm originally from Venezuela. I live here in the U.S. around 15 years ago. I moved here. And the way I came here was not like a typical immigrant, you're frozen. I see your image is frozen.
It'll come back.
Okay. But you can hear me, correct? You can hear me.
It's all good.
Okay. Well, okay. As I said, I'm originally from Venezuela. I came here like 15 years ago to the U.S., but not like the typical immigrant, because I did my career beginning in the 80s in Venezuela in the oil and gas. The people that don't know, and maybe your audience is not familiar, but Venezuela in the 80s was one of the wealthiest countries of Latin America. In fact, was the most wealthy country of Latin America. Mm-hmm. And the oil and gas company that is PDVSA was the fifth biggest oil company of the world. Wow. So it was big. So when I started there, I was working in a world-class oil and gas company, world-class. And I did my career there. And in 2010, 2011, I was transferred here to the U.S., to the U.S.-based company. Ooh. That is Citgo Petroleum. Citgo Petroleum, you see the gas station all over the U.S.
Yeah.
Okay? That company belongs to PDVSA and to the Venezuelan government. And I came here, as I said, and as an expat representing the company. And after a couple of years, I became the CEO of that company. Oh, so in 2017, I became the CEO of Citgo Petroleum. So I was an immigrant here in the U.S. and became the CEO of the sixth largest refinery of the U.S. So for me, It was a big deal.
Yes.
Big deal.
Absolutely.
But always there is a but. I was in the pinnacle of my career. I was living my perfect life. But the situation between Venezuela and the U.S. was going really bad. Mm-hmm. Like it's happening today. If you see the news today, the Trump administration is having a lot of issues with the communist regime that is in Venezuela, saying that happened in his first administration, that he cannot finish the thing with the Maduro regime in Venezuela. So I was in the middle of that geopolitical tension, working with a Venezuelan company. So I didn't feel good. So even though I was in a position that I could stay there, being the CEO, I decided to get retired. I talked with my wife, and I said, I don't feel comfortable working here. I'm going to ask for my retirement. By that time, I already had 35 years in the company. Mm-hmm. So I was entitled to get long time, 35 years. Yes. So my boss didn't want to give permission to get retired. So I had to flew to Venezuela because our headquarters was in Venezuela. Mm-hmm. I flew to Venezuela. I talked face to face with him, and I said, "My friend, I'm done. If you don't accept my retirement, I'm gonna resign." And he accepted my retirement. He told me, "Please give me 4 months to find a replacement." So, okay, I came back.
Okay.
Fair. That was October 2017. And 1 month after, I was preparing all my stuff to get retired and preparing for my Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking Thanksgiving, December vacation, January coming back, February retired. So I was in a retire mode.
Yeah.
I'm in a movie, Saturday in a movie with my wife. And in the middle of the movie, I received a phone call. And it was him, it was my boss, calling me that I needed to go an urgent meeting the other day to Caracas. I said, well, why so urgent? They said, well, because there's going to be a big presentation and you had to come here. We were revamping a refinery at that time in the Aruba Island, in Aruba. And that was a big project that we were doing. And he asked me to go to make the presentation. So I flew to Venezuela with my 5 top executives. And I did a presentation. It was a great presentation. And I was finishing my career with a standing ovation in a big crowd presentation. I had a plane waiting for me. Never happened. It came 20 guards, and we were accused to be American spies. And they took us, and we became the hostage of the Venezuelan government during the next 5 years.
Oops.
Yes. So that's my story. That's my story. That's my story. I became a political prisoner of the Venezuelan regime during 5 years. We became, the press put us the name, we became the Citgo Six. So we were 6 top executive. I was the president with my vice president, my 5 vice president, and we were captured. We were accused to be American spies. We were accused to have committed treason to the country, and we were thrown in the worst dungeon ever during the next 5 years. And I stayed the first year in a solitary confinement because we were separated.
Oh my God.
I didn't know. So I lost a sense of time because I was locked during months in a cell without windows, without running water, without starving. It was like living in a hell. So there's where the suicidal thoughts begin to appear.
Yeah, for good reason.
That's why when you ask, I saw your show, I say, okay, I'm going to have a conversation here because there comes the suicidal thought. Because maybe the people that hear your show have gone through this. They don't have to be in my circumstance. My circumstance was an extreme situation.
Yes.
I was a guy always with a very positive mindset all my life. I was called Mr. Positive, because I had a wonderful life, wonderful career, always successful. Everything was okay. And one day everything changed.
Yeah.
One day everything changed. It changed, and I didn't know why that was happening to me. I began to feel anger.
Mm-hmm.
I begin to feel anger with God because I saw that, well, why you did this to me? Because I don't deserve this. And it began to appear those, because in 1 year alone, believe me, you can have a lot of thoughts. Your mind is all over.
Do well for like 2 or 3 days by myself. I can't even imagine.
Well, let me tell you, I was not only locked 1 year, I was 24/7 with the light turned on. So I literally couldn't sleep without. So I was not allowed to turn off the lights.
Right.
So I had to sleep with the lights turned on. I was beside a room. There is a torture room that they call the madness room. In the middle of the night, I could hear the tortures. I could hear the screaming of the people. So it was a living in a hell.
Absolutely.
Living in a hell. And now that we know that we were accused to be American spies, my first thought was, okay, now you're accused to be an American spy in a communist regime. What is the probability that you go out of this?
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was zero. So there comes the suicidal thought, because I begin to take my life. I said, what is the worst thing that can happen? That I stay here 30 years, 40 years. So I said, I'm not going to stay here 30 years, 40 years. Mm-hmm. So I begin to try to take my life. But I didn't have the tools. Believe me, if I had the tools, I would not be talking here.
Right.
I would not be talking here because it was a decision. I'm going to finish this.
Yeah.
But there's always a turning point, and before we had this interview that we were talking, you said something that is very clear and is key. You need to have a circle of support.
Yeah.
You need to talk, because one of the biggest mistake, the biggest error that people do is that when they're having a situation in their life and they begin to have these thoughts, they keep quiet. They don't talk with nobody. They isolate themselves, and there where the things happen. And you said that you got surprised when it happened. It always happened like that because people don't talk. You can be a walking suicidal and nobody knows,
Yeah.
because and maybe you're smiling. I always remember, this Ellen DeGeneres. She had
Mhm.
a guy that worked with her, and he was always smiling. And one
Yeah.
day he suicide. So that was a happy guy. No, he wasn't happy. It
Hmm.
was a mask. It was a mask. So for me, why I decided to change my thoughts was because for some reason of God, of course, God didn't want me to take my life off, and one day appeared my wife. My wife, after I don't know 10 months, I don't know how much month passed. One day they opened the door and they asked me to go to a room, and when I saw somebody walking, it was her. I was between surprised and scared to
Yeah.
see her there. But today I know why that happened, and she could go there because the situation between the two governments began to deteriorate a lot,
Hmm.
and they recalled the two ambassadors. So the two ambassadors were recalled, and there was no direct communication. So these evil guys, they wanted to pass a message to the U.S., and my wife was already having meetings with the U.S. government, and they negotiated, and they secure a secure travel of her to visit me. She became like a messenger,
Okay.
like a messenger. So, but for me, looking her, knowing that they were fighting to get me back, that the U.S. government was working heavily to bring us back, and all what she was doing, that gave me a lot of hope.
Oh, yeah.
So there is the turning point when you begin to have hope.
Hmm.
Why? Because I had her. I saw that she was supporting me. So all those suicidal thoughts, it was removed. I decided to not think more than that. I decided to begin to think that I needed to survive.
Yeah.
And this is something that today, in part of my speech, because I became a speaker and I wrote my book and I have a coaching program too. Part of the things that today I tell the people is never do things alone. If you're
Yeah.
having any problem, talk about it. Have a circle of support. That is so key.
Hmm.
So key. Because that's what is going to make you change in your mindset, because everything is related to the mindset.
Yes.
Everything in life.
Well,
And
yeah, and
and
that's
and,
exactly what
and
you said. When you were there and you're alone, you have no support, you have nothing, nobody, not even a window to the outside world. So there's no hope. And that,
I didn't have nowhere to hang myself, because if not, I would not be here.
but then you saw your wife, you had that little glimmer of hope, and you're like, okay. And that's all we need is just that little tiny bit of hope that
and that
will
little
change and they will get better.
and that little tiny hope, it infused me, the as I said, the change of my mindset. And after kind of 2 or 3 more months, uh, we received another visit. It was a representation of the UN that appeared, show up. Imagine a representation of the UN negotiating among us, and they begin to negotiate, and we got some kind of concessions. With the six, we were put together.
Okay.
This was another turning point, because
Yeah.
now we're six guys together. We begin to cherish other. We created the bond. We
Mhm.
had a circle of support.
Yes.
The suicidal thoughts were removed. I never have again those suicidal thoughts. So I'm very blessed that I could do it. because it could have been like this to not be here.
Yeah.
And this makes the difference. Believe me, many people that go through this, and unfortunately, it's a tragedy for the families. If they had had this small moment of hope, maybe those tragedy can be avoided.
Exactly. Exactly. So, but then you said it's still, so you had people fighting for you, you were all moved together, but then it still took, I got like another
For,
4 more years.
4 years, but let me tell you what happened because, well, by the way, I I wrote a book. This is the book. Let me show it to your audience. Okay, here. So if you see, these are the guards. See the guards with the mask?
Yeah.
What you see, this is the dungeon where we were.
Oh my God.
Okay, that image that you see there, that is the dungeon. It's very scary. Here are all the political prisoners of Venezuela. And the book is called From Hero to Villain because I did a presentation. I became like a hero in 5 minutes after I was considered the worst of the villain,
Yeah.
accused to be an American spy. So I became from a hero to a villain in a minute. And well, now we are the six together. We were in a very tiny room. Let me tell you, we were like in a 100 square foot room, like living in a closet.
Yeah.
But we were supporting each other because we found something that to me is really miracle. Because we were not friends. We were colleagues, but not friends. So I didn't know their stories. And when we got the opportunity to begin to talk about what was about every of us, we discovered that we had something in common. That the six of us has more than 30-year married.
Oh.
The six, yes.
Wow.
Six. All of us has 30 plus. 30, 31, 32, one had 37. So we were guys with a stable marriage during decades.
Yeah.
It was not common. It was, imagine what is the probability that six guys chosen randomly had that pattern?
Yeah.
Very weird. Very weird. So very weird, but that was happened to us. And that created the liaison that now the six of us knew that we had strong families waiting outside for us.
Yes.
And that gave us a lot of hope. And we begin to have a lot of faith. So that changed everything. And again, you don't have to go to my situation. But believe me, anybody that's hearing this, that is going to any situation, you can mirror it. You can mirror it because this is something that is a standard, is universal. Any situation that you're going in your life, you need have the circle of support. You need to have a change in your mindset. That is what is going to make that even if you're going in a dark moment, you can stay positive. You need to be calm and focused in the situation. This is another thing that sometimes that when you are not focused and not calm, there's where the anxiety and the depression comes.
Yeah.
Because I have been studying this. Let me tell you, after I came back, I have been doing like a PhD in this stuff. but yes, there are several steps in the human nature. And by the way, I talk about that in my book.
Okay.
The first thing when you're going to any tragedy is you are going to deny it. You're going to say, this is not happening to me. That's the first reaction. Okay, I'm fine. This is not happening. I'm going to manage this. That's the first reaction. Then comes the acceptance. The acceptance can take 1 hour, 1 day, or will never come. There's where the depression comes. When you decided to stay there, and then comes the look for support or not. And you decide to stay there and you don't have support, my friend, you're screwed up. You're screwed up because there's where you take the bad decisions. And once you decided to move on and say, okay, this is my reality, I need help. I need help, and you ask for help, that will be a very, very personal choice, but that will change your situation.
Yeah.
Because when you ask for support, and I know that you can say that there's medication, all the stuff. Yes, that's true. Sometimes the things come because there are things in your brain. But today, the science has certified that you can retrain your brain.
Hmm.
There is what is called neuroplasticity. And
Yes.
then the neuroscience and the neuroplasticity has discovered that you can retrain your brain. So what that means, that if you have the personal choice that you want to have help and you want to help yourself, you can retrain your brain. You can retrain your thought. You can retrain your belief, and you can make a terrible situation something that it can become even your testimony. Can become even your testimony to help others.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, yeah, it's amazing. But I want to go back to your story and find out how did it all happen? How did you get out?
Okay, well, it happened that we stayed 4 more years there. During those next 4 years, because now we're to put your audience in perspective, is 2018. The country was Venezuela was having sanctions because Trump was
Mhm.
imposed sanctions. They did an oil embargo, so the economy was totally rotten. There was no food, there was no
Yeah, I
medicine, so
remember.
there was a lot of. Okay, so we were suffering that. So one of the things that the UN negotiated was not only to put us together. They got approval that our family can to supply us food.
Okay.
And in my particular case, my family, my eldest son, he moved to Colombia, that is in the border with Venezuela, and he
Mhm.
began to provide food from Colombia. He could not go inside Venezuela; he will be
Okay.
taken.
Uh-uh.
So he began to provide the food from Bogota to Caracas, and somebody in Caracas picked up the food. They cooked and they began to provide me food every 3 days. Every three
Wow.
days, they did that routine during the next 4 years. That's how I'm here. The
Oh
support of my
my
family.
gosh.
But that food for me had two things. The first thing is that it was not the food, it was a message of love. That my family, every time I saw that food and the way they cook it and they try to put it beautiful, I saw the love of my family behind the food. So that food was more like a connection with my family, was a message of hope.
Hmm.
And the other thing that I did is because I was not having communication with my family, so I began to smuggle letters inside the trash cans. When I was returning in the third day the food, they brought new food, and I was returning the trash can. I did a double bottom of the cans, and I began to
Hmm.
smuggle letters, and my wife began to do it the same. So we began to smuggle, and we smuggled like 1,000 letters
Oh my
during
God.
3 years. Yeah, with like
Wow.
1,000 letters. Those letters I have today here, and my book is based on those letters. This animal you see here is
Wow.
based on those letters that I could compile. Yes, I did like a memoir. That book became an international best memoir of the year in the International Book Award. Has
Amazing.
5 times being first place in Amazon.
Yeah.
And today is introducing in English, Spanish, and in Bengali. In
Amazing.
Bengali is yeah,
Amazing.
yeah. So I decided to during the next years get stick to our survivor plan. We create like we call a survivor plan. Picture this: we were 6 top executives, a lot of brains,
Yeah.
a lot of brain,
Guys.
a lot of brains. So we created a plan that we did it during the next 4 years, and it became to be a daily routine. One day, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, and one day they opened the door, and we came back through a prisoner swap. We came back in a prisoner swap in October 2022. It's gonna be 3 years in next month,
Wow.
October 1st, and we were swapped by the two nephews of the president of Venezuela. So that's the way I could come back. They were here captured by, because they were drug dealers. They
Mm,
were in a federal prison in Miami.
okay.
They got a presidential pardon, and they swapped us, and here I am.
Amazing. Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's my story.
That is,
Kind of crazy.
yeah.
Kind of crazy. Every time I tell the story, I every time I tell, I say, "Oh, Jose, you don't believe that."
It's amazing. It's not your life. But yeah. Wow. That I'm just I kind of have no words, but I can't, obviously it's a very extreme situation that nobody can ever actually imagine living through. But like you said, the situation isn't really what matters. You know, it's
I
that.
saw people. Let me tell you, I saw people there committing suicide,
Hmm.
and we were not in a normal prison. We were with the political prison of the country, high-ranked people, and
Hmm.
I saw military suicide, people that were supposed to be trained. They because everything is here
Yeah.
in the mind. Everything is here.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't have nothing to do with if you're intelligent or not, if you have the mindset or not.
Hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. So what would you tell just your regular average person who is feeling like they don't have any hope? What would you tell them?
You have the first thing that you have to do is, of course, change your mindset. It's a very personal choice, but the thing to do it, as I said, the first, you have to ask for help.
Hmm.
You never do things alone, because you are not gonna do it. You're gonna be in a battlefield in your mind, that alone you're not gonna do it. You need to ask for help. Once you decide to take the step and ask for help, begin to don't see you where you are today, because maybe the situation that is putting you in those suicidal thoughts is because you're going to a, I don't know, a circumstance in your life that can be a personal tragedy, can be a terminal illness, can be a something that you got broken, or having problem in your marriage. There can be many things, many things that are making you take the decision.
Hmm.
That everything is temporary.
Yeah.
Everything. Everything is temporary. Even if you're going through your valley, it's going to be temporary.
Hmm.
But you need to believe that it's going to be temporary. You have
Hmm.
to see you where you really want to be. So everybody has dreams. Everybody has dreams, and everybody has a purpose. You
Yes.
have to try to find your purpose, and you have to pursue your dreams. And
Yeah.
do something that I always talk. I have this band. I'm going to show it, because I always show it, because I already have like 8 years with this band. It says, never
Never
give
give
up,
up.
and never give up.
Yeah.
So that's my recommendation. Never give up.
Yeah.
Pursue the dreams, find your purpose, and look for help.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Jose, for being here today and sharing your story and your wisdom and your hope with our listeners. I,
Well, you had that Phoenix wisdom. I love that name.
yeah, thank you. Well, we are all, everybody who comes on the show is a phoenix. We've all
Mhm.
risen from the ashes,
Mhm.
and then
Yes.
we're sharing our wisdom. So, yeah, it's an incredible story, and I'm going to buy your book so that I can get all the details and all of your wisdom and not just the highlights of it that we had here today.
I try to give a snippet of the story, but the people that go to my book, let me tell you, I could have written the book 1 month after I came back, because I had the letters. I had the blessing that I had the letters, but I was not prepared mentally,
Oh
and
yeah.
I needed to heal. I went through PTSD events. I went to a trauma recovery center. By the way, if you see here, let me see here. Okay. See that this is the prologuist of my book, Brian Klosner. He is the director of the Wake Medical Center where I did my trauma recovery.
Mhm.
We became friends.
Yeah.
I asked him to do the prologue of my book. So he's the prologuist of my book. And because as I said, I began to study this, and he was really surprised how he found us so strong when we
Mhm.
came back, because as I said, we create this plan that you had to read the book to see what we did.
Mhm.
And this is a story of hope. This is a story of redemption. This is a story of how faith can make you survive. And this is a story that anything that is going things in life, you can always survive. Because there is something that I'm gonna finish here, because God make possibles the impossibles. So
Mhm.
there is no impossible. Is what you believe or not.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Because nothing is impossible.
Mhm.
And if
Mhm.
you can imagine it, it can happen.
Correct. And the neuroscience has confirmed it. The
Yeah.
observer can transform what is observed. Even the science has confirmed it. So this is not woo woo, it's science.
Exactly. Exactly. All right. Thank you again, Jose. I appreciate you spending your time with me today and sharing your story and your hope. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you for listening. Remember that you are loved, you are worthy, you are valuable, you are meant for more, and that it really does get better. If you are in crisis, there are numbers that you can call or text to get the help that you need. That information for Canada and the US is in the description below each episode. If you are in immediate crisis, please call 911. We love you, and I hope you'll listen again.